Alrighty, hope you guys had a fun session. Quite the crazy day. Um, Going into trade plan. So today was primarily a lesson in developing shorter term skill sets. The overall hierarchical, I'm not going to try and say that, references were definitely quite diminished with the way that I trade. Um, and we're quite far away from any sort of relative value system, which makes it a little bit harder to get any fresh, good, reliable references to trade from. So a lot of this was intermediate. These levels were less reliable, and I was quite pulled back. I was looking for more selective, duh, trades to be taken. Going into oil for starters, the kind of most obvious first setup that you wanted to be in. Initially, I'm not going to say this was a bad trade. Was this short, right? So we pulled up, we opened at this inflection, pulled up to this initial bear zone. So this short was the first trade that I ended up taking. Obviously, it would have resulted in a swift stop out, and then we get this impulsive move up with this retest. So this is your change in condition. This is your long that was provided. And the reason I put this exit right here is because if you didn't get out here, or if you scaled here, you'd be getting out on that pullback or that one, because you could see that this imbalance was failing to maintain any sort of strength by the buyers. So a little 7R, nice trade there. With the best part about this trade was the risk, 13 ticks. That's actually palatable in this market. Um, excuse me. Now with the way that I trade, this first pullback wouldn't have been something I could have gotten involved in. It would have had to have been, if anything, and this would have been an aggressive trade in my book, this second pullback here. So that would have been your entry, your stop still would have been this upper pullback, meaning you would have had a lot more risk on that. So a 24 tick stop on that trade, and you'd be going probably for this inflection point, and then whatever you can get below. So yes, volatile. Yes, there was plenty of opportunity using just this main inflection here, which turned out to be quite a solid level. However, I would say that this was the superior trade of the day to this. This one was even further compromised. This one was a more classic, uh, probably B plus setup. This was definitely a B, if not a B minus setup as far as favorability, and that kind of trailed us off into the end of the session. Um, so it's one of those days where you have to really be able to adapt to the shorter term to be able and allow yourself multiple reentries, maybe scale down on your size because you know you're going to have multiple reentries, and it can be a little bit tricky if you have tighter risk margins. So uh, hopefully we stay within the realm of reality here going into tomorrow, and we can use some references from today, as well as some other hierarchical or bigger term references that are starting to line up, which would be lovely. So that was kind of the beast to climb there. And then moving into the ES, the primary kind of zone we had was this bull zone here. The actual limit down, the limit down 7% was sitting right there at 59.50. So we limited down overnight. We opened at the pit session, limited down again, pulled back, and you want to be operating off of this short thesis. Um, that's the preferred direction, obviously, on a day like today, is that you want to be shorting this thing until you get some sort of obvious imbalance. So there was a potential long right there. It was somewhat compromised just because of how long we were trapped underneath the VWAP, which was trailing right here. So somewhat of a compromised trade there. It really looked like this effort to stay rotational was failing. But that would have been aligned with process. And really, the best trade was this second pullback. So you get your first test of this extreme, and then you pull back. Bulls try, sellers try, bulls try one more time, and then the bears take it. So this would have been the preferred selling point. And then we get into quite a tangled environment here. So I actually bought this pullback. I liked that because the acceptance was still in this rotational environment, and I was looking to see buyers hold this area up. So got a scale and stopped out on the rest, and then I stayed away from the rest of this. Technically, there would have been maybe some scalps you could have taken. Those would have been quite aggressive. However, still valid. So I don't think the prep was nearly as good as old other ones are. However, I also was prepared and expected that to be a reality. Um, so I was definitely kind of pulled back on the risk, and I'm looking in, for the rest of this combine I'm working through. I really want to be taking only higher quality setups because of the tighter risk margins we have. So I'm fine with missing out on things like this, or even trades like this, even though they would have been great trades. They're not ideal setups within my methodology, and that can lead to some issues. So I'm perfectly happy with how that turned out, and we will keep pushing forward. Hopefully, we get some stability overnight, and we can push out some quality levels tomorrow.